accidentally hit the stereo.
Hey.
But on the other end, you can't afford not to record.
Hey, and we're back. This is Misunderstood. Alrighty. Talking about Katt.
Talking about Katt.
And Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp. You can't run a 4-4. Come on, Katt. You old.
That man posted his 4-4.
That was a shady post. I usually Katt been bringing receipts. That one was a shady post.
I
ain't see nobody hit start.
Look, I saw that brother on Atlanta when he played Gator Man. That brother was booking.
I would love to see a Gator Man movie. And Katt Williams' ability to act is amazing. Because there were, like, as he's playing that part, sometimes I'm like, is that Katt Williams? Because, he didn't go into that high-pitched voice. He didn't do the kind of jokey stuff. He was a different person. I've never been a big Katt Williams fan. Like, I've always thought he was funny, but actually listening to him for 4 hours, I got to learn who he is as a person, and I really respect him. I respect him, but he's on a different plane, man. He's on a plane that feels uncomfortable to me. Like, I wouldn't want to be at that level where he sees things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like he makes the people around him uncomfortable. Because they brought up a stand-up where Dave Chappelle showed up, and he was giving his speech, and he's like, be careful, Katt Williams is in the room.
All these comics in here wondering one thing.
So
is Katt Williams going to show up?
So, well, that just means his genius just doesn't work well with others.
I can see that, but I can also, because we had
Kanye.
We had a frat brother like that was just two almost that were too smart for me to deal with, like literally too intelligent. Where I was like, man, I can't even hang out with you guys because you're seeing too far.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna cause trouble. Mm-hmm. You either gonna cause trouble or you gonna cause me to do something stupid because I didn't see where things were going. So.
Playing
I think
chess,
it's also
not checkers.
Yeah. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stick over here with the folks playing checkers.
I'll put my helmet back on.
Yes, sir. Me and Mike Epps. And Mike Epps.
Speaking of, we're talking about comedians. Mm-hmm. We got to go into Dave Chappelle.
Oh, yeah. Because his last special, Equanimity.
I can't remember the title. I'm terrible with titles, but it was funny and it was squeamish at the same time.
Yeah, because he's not delivering stand-up. He's delivering like long-form commentary that punches comedy every once in a while. So it's
almost reshapes it.
Almost reshapes it.
He's like, comedy is a piece of clay, and he just is having his way with it.
And I wonder how it's going to stand up to time. So. Gave you two far examples. Gallagher. Mm-hmm. Go back and look at anything Gallagher did before. It's chuckly funny. Almost like it was when Gallagher did it.
Well,
Eddie Murphy Raw is not funny.
Really?
Some parts of it are still funny. Parts of it are always going to be funny. But Mr. T being gay and the rape situation that he joked about from that.
Okay, I don't remember all of his
there's
stand-up.
There's a lot of
clearly.
There's a lot of gay jokes in there that just the whole world doesn't feel that way anymore.
Okay, yeah.
And
well,
so I wonder how Dave Chappelle's going to.
That goes into Katt Williams. What he said, comedy is evolving. You got to be able to evolve with it.
Yes.
He's not the same comic he was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But do you feel like Dave is moving backwards? He's like, I don't have to move forward. I can move in whatever direction I want to. This man pulled out a joke about, physical and mental disabilities.
Yes.
Like this is kind of, we got past that. We don't talk about that anymore. He's like, I'm a comedian. I can talk about it.
It depends. Some of these comedians are elevating. So Katt Williams, number one, every name he dropped,
yes,
benefited the people he dropped those names to.
I agree,
100%.
Shannon didn't see it at the beginning.
Nope.
Katt called it. He was like, "Man,
they're gonna be clamoring to get back on your show, everybody's talking about Shannon Sharpe.
Yep.
He elevated everybody. If your name was called, you can go on YouTube now and do a video, and you got clicks.
Yeah. So let's get in who he talked about.
Gary Owen got talked about.
Briefly.
I've been catching Gary Owens.
Was it a positive or a negative?
That's what Gary Owen asked. Mm-hmm. Gary Owen put out that video and was like, I don't know what he's saying. I can't. Y'all help me out. And I think that drew back some of his audience, and I think it's going to give him a chance to re-elevate.
Okay.
It gives him a chance to retell some of these stories. It ain't hurting Steve Harvey at all.
Ricky Smiley? I don't know.
Ricky Smiley, I think it's giving Ricky Smiley a chance. Because Ricky Smiley is on the Steve Harvey path of hustling. Mm-hmm. Ricky Smiley now has a choice. Can Ricky Smiley be funny or act outside of that dress?
Well, now's his chance.
Now's his chance. If he's got something he's been working on, he's got buzz around him, he can push that thing. If he's happy on the path he's on, there are people who are tuning into his radio show because they heard him mentioned by Katt Williams. Mm-hmm. We went back and listened to his episode with Shannon Sharpe because Katt Williams talked about him.
Yeah.
So chances are that's probably the second highest Shannon Sharpe episode.
Yeah. He went in on Cedric. Man, that hurt.
Cedric.
That hurt. I've always respected Cedric. I loved him in
everything.
Yeah. Kings of Comedy. I thought he was hilarious. Mm-hmm. Even to the point where, he brought up the joke that he stole. Mm-hmm. I feel like it took a true artist to craft it the way he did and make it a segment. Because I heard the joke on Designing Women.
Okay, so there's two jokes that he stole. The Designing Women joke he stole. Mm-hmm. But he also stole the joke from Katt Williams. Like, where he's riding this, like, they won't let brothers ride the spaceship.
Oh.
And, and it's a similar joke.
Wasn't memorable to me.
It wasn't memorable to me either. Katt Williams told the joke better. Mm-hmm. But also, Cedric the Entertainer told the joke better than it was on Designing Women.
He did. And to me, I feel like it was a repurposed joke.
He said he's the entertainer. I was entertained. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to hurt Cedric's movements either.
Yeah.
If Cedric decides to put out some more content, people are going to go chase after the content. So I think he's elevated everybody's.
Okay.
Now, I bring this up to say I think that's in part what Dave Chappelle is doing. The scariest thing, when people tell me, they're like, we don't want transgender folks in women's sports because it's going to ruin women's sports. And then they'll name a male athlete. Or they'll name a transgender athlete and say, how should this person compete? And then I'll go, can you name a female athlete in that sport? They can't. So the truth is, you weren't paying attention to any women's sports until somebody you perceived as a man got involved in it, and now you're paying attention.
Kind of like the book banning.
Kind of like the book banning.
You ain't read a book.
But now the kids are looking for them. Oh, there's a list of banned books.
I would go as far to say, they put them in the forefront. Mm-hmm. They created a section for these banned books in the library. It's kind of like the curtain at the video store. I was 13. I'd always take a peek back behind that curtain.
I think Dave Chappelle is offering the same thing.
Okay.
If there is a trans comic who is funny, Dave Chappelle has created a platform for them to clap back in a way that is comical. If there is somebody with a mental disability who is funny, Dave Chappelle has created a way for them to clap back that is funny. He's creating this platform for those who are capable of using it.
Okay.
It's scary because not everybody's capable of using it. And so there's two bad people who use it. There's water cooler comedians. and they're the worst.
Those are your coworkers.
Your coworker who heard this joke and laughed for the wrong reason. And Dave Chappelle knows these folks. They were the ones that ran him off in the first place when they were laughing a little bit too hard about the nigger family.
Oh.
When he was telling some of these jokes inside of here, and he noticed some people thought it was a little funnier than it should have been. Mm-hmm. He knows those people are still telling his same transgender jokes. And they're not telling it with the idea of giving someone who is transgender a platform. They're telling that joke so they can get a dig in. Go, oh, Dave Chappelle says it. I agree with Dave Chappelle. They don't agree with Dave Chappelle. They're using their little space to make themselves feel extra by making someone else feel inferior.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
And I tell you, the line I loved the most when he was talking about Jim Carrey and
his first meeting with
Jim Carrey. And I'm not going to tell
comedian that he looked up to.
I'm not going to tell the joke because I don't think I can. I don't live in this space. I'm not enough of an ally, nor am I enough of a comedian to pull this joke off.
That's good.
But the statement
Don't bring it to the water cooler.
I won't bring it to the water cooler. The statement he makes is, how effing lucky was I to get to see that process as it was happening. And I think that's one of the things, if we slow down and we think about the folks who are making these transitions, who are starting to speak the truth of who they are, as uncomfortable as whatever thing that it is they're going through to get there, how lucky are we that we're trusted in this time and in this space with that transition. And we've got to learn how to appreciate that luck in the moment. And it's tough.
You can still have disappointment, though, the way it went down.
I think you got to because you're human. Everybody's human. You're going to handle things wrong.
Kind of like my meeting with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I held a grudge for quite a while.
Wait a minute. You met Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
I did.
I feel like I've heard this story. You got to tell it again.
Well, I was in 8th grade. I was part of a mentoring program, and we went to go see him speak in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so I wasn't there at all.
No, it was me and Sean.
Yeah, I didn't even live in Carlisle.
We bought basketballs. So we were sitting there holding these basketballs. And
now I'm going to pause. Went out and bought basketballs.
Yes.
All right, were you working at the PX and earning your own money?
Yes.
Did you go purchase those basketballs from the PX with your own money?
Probably.
Okay.
But and we sat through probably the most boring speeches ever, man. He was probably like the third person to speak. 8th grade, I can't relate to what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting through it like, can't wait for this to be over. I'm going to get this autograph.
This man fought Bruce Lee.
Yeah. He really is, man. This dude is a giant, 7'7" Blue Alcindor. I read his book. I was excited to meet him. So me and my younger brother, I'm
I want to hear this from Sean too.
I'm 13 or 14, so Sean had to have been maybe 11, 10 or 11. Finally it's over. Hey, how you doing? He's shaking hands. Hey, can you sign our basketball? He looks at us, he says, no, I can't. And heart just dropped. Like, this guy's an asshole.
Oh, man. Oh. And that stuck with
it. Did. But also, I talked with Dad, who's also, he's our frat brother. And Dad explained to me that he might not have owned the rights to his signature.
Yeah.
And also I found out that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar he never signed anything. Because I think he knew the power of his signature.
Okay.
But at the time,
Yeah, at the time. And it's got to be especially, because one, the amount of work he would have had to go through at the time to have the name change, have it accepted, would have been a little different than I think something we could imagine. So yeah, that's
yeah. It was hard, man. For a young 12, 13-year-old boy to understand, hey, why this man can't take time and just sign my basketball.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of grace that hopefully is at the end of those jokes that Dave Chappelle is capable of telling. And right now, that's the grace that I'm given. That's the understanding I hear those jokes in.
Okay.
It's honestly the same way I heard most of Katt Williams' story. Is that each one of those people deserved to have their name come out of his mouth.
Really? Mm-hmm. I felt like he had something against these people.
That is also true. I think both those things are true.
I think now I can agree with you on Dave Chappelle. I can kind of see it, but Katt Williams, I don't feel like he was dropping names to give them a platform. I think he was dropping names to let people know, hey, this is a craft to this. I respect it. They are not, they're not worthy of this craft.
100% true, but I also know he knew not mentioning somebody's name would be worse for him than mentioning it. Mm. I think there are people right now he's gonna run into and say, I ain't say squat about you. How you feel?
And you are? No.
Gotta say it all together. It's like a Tribe Called Quest. Oh.
All right, so we've talked about Katt. Is there anything else you want to bring about Katt?
Talked about Shannon. Talked about Dave Chappelle. We could slip back into national politics and see how your boy Trump's doing.
Okay.
Or you got something better.
Well, we dabble into some Trump. I really haven't been following the campaign. I just know that all the other Republican candidates have dropped out except for Nikki Haley. I was a little disappointed in the fact that she couldn't. She downplayed slavery.
Yeah.
And the Civil War and what it was really about, because she was pandering to her audience.
Yes.
Yeah,
she's got to get the
those supporters of Trump who like I brought up, are trying
to take a Confederate flag down.
Who can't move with the historical accuracies that are coming about.
Yeah.
But I still don't like DeSantis, and I feel like he might end up being this man's running mate.
He might. What I wonder is if Donald Trump can debate anymore.
He doesn't have to.
He has to. He's going to have to debate Joe Biden.
I don't.
The best thing Donald
He's
Trump
a master showman.
He's a master.
He's going to put on a show regardless.
But if he
after the way he carried Hillary, I can't. This man, he's good at what he does.
He's good, but is he still?
Yeah.
What makes you believe that? When's the last time you saw a Trump rally?
I don't watch them.
You remember there was a time back when he was in his prime, when he was beating Hillary, where they would put the camera on an empty podium and run the rest of the news down at the bottom. Waiting for him to come on.
Oh man, I missed that. No,
he was a master showman. Is he still? Nobody's going to.
Well, I think what should scare us is what he will use to keep the show going. Because,
give me an example.
Oh, what he has used in the past. What bothered me about Donald Trump was how he handled the Colin Kaepernick situation.
Colin Kaepernick.
How he handled the Black Lives Matter movement. He took a real issue and made it a part of his show to fuel that anger of his audience, his followers.
That's true, but that is politics. Politics is making light of.
It hasn't always been that.
Oh, really?
I don't think so.
I think it's always been that. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's ever been a time when politics was like some noble thing. You watched Hamilton?
Man, I voted for Bernie Sanders.
So did I.
It was started off with a noble thing, paying off college debt.
Yeah, but the guy in the mittens was never going to be president.
Why not?
Because we don't want a guy in mittens. We want
Joe Biden might as well be in mittens. He's boring.
Joe Biden is getting in mittens.
He is boring. He's just as boring.
But you know what? That's what Republicans aren't thinking about. Is the New Hampshire primary. Several Democrats went and voted, because I don't think you have to. Several Democrats voted in the New Hampshire primary for Nikki Haley. Mm-hmm. What I don't think Republicans realize, there are a lot of Democrats that prefer Nikki Haley by Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden is
boring.
Warm water. Yeah, he's boring. I mean, if you're thirsty, it's the right thing to drink.
Yeah.
Honestly, you come in dehydrated and there's a cold soda and warm water.
Well, and
Drink the warm water. That's what you're supposed to do.
and I will say he sucked the enthusiasm out of the Democratic Party for me. I don't claim to be Democrat anymore.
Oh man.
I don't.
Oh man.
I'm still a liberal, but I don't claim to be Democrat.
I'm definitely a Democrat. Like
My
I'm
views,
on the committee locally.
My views lean towards Democrat, but it's hard for me to say that I'm a Democrat.
And there's a whole group of Bernie supporters that are in the same boat because it felt dirty and it felt like he could have won. It felt like he could have beaten Donald Trump in a way that Hillary couldn't. Because Hillary was a skilled politician up against a circus sideshow. And the ringmaster's going to win. Everybody else looks like a clown. And that's what happened.
But do you think Hillary would have been a Biden?
I think Hillary very much would have been a Biden.
She wasn't speaking to me. That's why I didn't vote for her in the primary.
But you know what's crazy, though? She was an excellent speaker.
She was.
She couldn't control her own message. When you listened to Hillary Clinton, you were like, oh, I dig that. And then as soon as you turn your back and look at a newspaper that has her name on it, you're like, oh, I can't stand that lady. Like, I don't know what it was about her not being able to control her own message.
Yeah. Now, I will say I did vote for her during the presidential election. When I say I didn't vote for her, I'm talking about during the primary.
Correct. Same thing. I didn't vote for her during the primary. But also, I was a Hillary supporter when she was up against Barack.
Really?
Yeah. I did not think Barack. He had no record. He came out of nowhere. Why was I going to vote for this man? He was not a politician. And I just, I was the biggest idiot in the world, halfway through the primary.
Really?
Everybody was like, you can't see he's a star. I'm like, nah, we don't even know. The guy with the funny name.
Shoot, man, buddy, and I had like 4 shirts.
He'll be gone in a week.
Man, me and my family, we each all had matching Obama shirts.
No, I was late to the game. When Hillary got on board, that's when I got on board.
You were thugnificent.
I was thugnificent.
You mean to tell me there's a candidate named Barack Obama? Barack Hussein, a black candidate named Barack Hussein Obama?
I didn't think he was the guy. But I also tell you, I think we'd have been better off voting for Mitt Romney the second time instead of Barack Obama.
I like Mitt Romney.
I do too.
After the election of Barack Obama.
Well, that didn't do us any good.
Same with McCain.
He didn't change it.
I like McCain after he lost.
But I think that's a politics we miss. Is I would have been disappointed in the loss to McCain, but I don't feel like I would have lost anything to McCain.
But I think,
and I felt that same way about Trump the first time. Like I was like, can't nobody ruin this country in 4 years.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Or even 8 years. 2 terms is not going to ruin the country. I didn't think he could do it. And then we had COVID.
Yeah. And I think Trump's election, the first one, was the first time I actually had severe disappointment. And my first 2 elections that I voted in, my candidate lost. The first one was
Kerry.
No, it was Al Gore.
Al Gore. Okay.
It was the first. Turned 18. I remember we got a rental car and drove from Richmond.
That might have been my first presidential too. Because I think I missed.
Yep, you would have by a year.
Missed Clinton by a year. I was right there.
So
yeah, we lost that one.
But I wasn't as disappointed. I knew we've been through a Bush.
I don't know. I was with Dave Chappelle when he stood his ground against Hillary Clinton during the debates. I was like, that's it. He doesn't know foreign policy. I don't know. Like if you'd been like, what's the nuclear triad? I don't think he'd have an answer for it.
Who is this? Trump?
Trump. Oh. And he stood toe to toe with Hillary Clinton. Like if Hillary Clinton had been like, hey, can you name 10 nations and 10 capitals? I don't think he could have done it.
Yeah, I was disappointed in that debate because I think all of us knew, like, hey, this man's gonna get outsmarted, and she came out with her kid gloves, and
she didn't come out with her kid gloves. He's good.
Oh,
because he held his own with Biden.
She didn't go in on him. She was reserved.
Yeah,
I think somebody put in her ear, you can't go out in here and demolish this man.
I don't think she put that in her ear. I think it's a lifetime of being a woman. I think she knew as soon as she put the kid gloves out, we were going to call her names and look at her scratching and being bossy. You know, she could only jump so high, and then we all would have rejected her anyways. She was caught.
Yeah, I needed that enthusiasm to get me back on board with the Democratic Party. I needed something. I lost my candidate unfairly.
That's a tough
I lost Bernie unfairly. So get me something. And I needed that debate to reel me back in, and I didn't get it.
I think that's what we're going to get next time. But this time, we got the end of an episode here.
Okay.
So we're going to clock this one on out.
Hey, it's been misunderstood.
I heard a man talking, didn't know what he was saying, but it kept on spilling. His words just the same. His mind seemed scrambled like a burned out candle, with half the wick missing and a nothing for flame. Give me a savior that takes me away. Give me a blanket and a space for my head. When time descends like an old stage curtain on the back of my eyelids, I'll be in a place instead. It just kept rambling, talking 19 to the dozen, like a worn out needle, tripping right across that groove. He said there's a silence that's creeping in darkness, but why look for answers when there's nothing to prove? Give me a savior that takes me away. Give me a blanket and a space for my head. When time descends like an old stage curtain on the back of my eyelids, I'll be in a place instead. If time were elastic, would we dare ask it to hold on to something before it melts down like ice? And if we could listen, we'd hear back the laughter, 'cause no one ever wades through the same river twice. Give me a savior that takes me away. Give me a blanket and a space for my head. When time descends like an old stage curtain on the back of my eyelids, I'll be in a place instead. When time descends like an